there, storytellers, welcome back to my channel. Today's video, as you can see, is going to be my favorite books of 2020. So this list isn't by all means a comprehensive every book I enjoyed in 2020, it is just my standout favorites of the year. So without any further ado, let's get right on into it. My first favorite of 2020, and the only one I don't own a physical copy of, is Dear Justice by Nic Stone. This follows a character, Kwan, that you meet in her first book, Dear Martin, and it's a sequel of sorts, but it tells Kwan's story. He's from the same neighborhood as Justice McAllister that you meet in Dear Martin, but he's lived a very different kind of life, and he ends up being wrongfully incarcerated for something he didn't do, and it's his story of how he learns to sort of stand up for himself and expect better of a system that has done boys like him wrong for many years now. It is a really intense read. It's definitely racially charged because it's dealing with racial issues, but it's a really beautiful story and I highly recommend it to anyone. My next favorite, or favorites rather, are Ace of Shades, King of Fools, and Queen of Volts from the Shadow Game trilogy by Amanda Foody. These books follow Ensalta in the City of Sin as she learns that she's not who she's been led to believe she is her entire life. In fact, she's a much more important player in the game than she would have ever expected, but it's her journey learning to accept who she really is, learning to embrace who she really is, and it's just a really cool fantasy, I guess is the best way to describe it. It is set in the City of Sin, which is sort of based on Las Vegas or Atlantic City, just full of gambling and backdoor deals and shady gambler type stuff. It's crazy good fun. I highly recommend this entire trilogy. They're so good, and I'm so glad I read these. I'm probably going to reread them again very soon because I have yet to find a story that is anywhere near this good of a similar sort of plot. I haven't found anything like this, and so these currently stand alone as sort of the pillar of gangster fun fiction for me. My next favorite for 2020 was Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This follows the story of a fictional band called Daisy Jones and the Six, and it's basically told in interview format, so it's very quick to read. It's almost entirely dialogue. I listened to the audiobook, which is phenomenal. It's a full cast audiobook, so you get this very full, rich experience to the point where the band really comes to life and it starts to feel like it's this real band that you missed out on being able to see when you were younger. But alas, they're not real, so you can't actually listen to Daisy Jones's music, but it is a very good story. And if you like sort of memoir-esque stories, this is definitely something for you. It's sort of like memoir fiction told through fictional interviews, and it's so good. Next, I have Again But Better by Christine Riccio. This follows a girl named Shane. She's in college. She's at a study abroad program in London. She has lied to get there. She's told her parents that it is a medical-based study abroad program when in fact it is based in creative fiction. But it's a really good read about following your dreams and living your own personal truth, even if it's not the dreams and hopes that your parents had for you, actually, and most especially if that's not the case. But Shane learns to stand up for herself and what she wants, and there's a little bit of magic in this contemporary novel, so it has a fun little twist to it. I highly recommend it for anyone who is a writer or is aspiring to be a writer. It's definitely one of those stories about people who like stories. Next was like the first book I read this year, so it was technically my first favorite of the year, and that is The Hand on the Wall by Maureen Johnson. So at the time, I thought this was the wrap-up to the Truly Devious series, but I have since found out there is going to be another book with the same characters, although this does conclude the Ellingham Academy cases of the start of Truly Devious. So this is the sort of final conclusion to the Ellingham cases, and it was very satisfying. Although the reveal was minorly predictable, it wasn't something that I felt took away from the experience of reading the book. In fact, if you weren't paying a lot of attention, you might have missed the clues that led to the big reveal in the first place, but don't worry because Stevie lays them out for you detective movie style at the end of The Hand on the Wall. But this was a really satisfying conclusion to a set of mysteries and puzzles that I didn't expect to like as much as I did. I highly recommend these books to anybody. And last but not least, for my favorites of 2020, we have Daughter of the Burning City by Amanda Foody. This follows a girl named Serena, and she is a illusion maker who works at the traveling circus city of Gomorrah. She basically starts the story finding out that her illusions can be killed, and she has no idea how this is possible because they're supposed to be illusions. They're not really real. This kicks off a pretty wild ride, a pretty thrilling one. If you're a fan of the Night Circus, I highly recommend this one. It's very similar to that in the sense that there's this high stakes game going on, and the player doesn't really know all that there is to know about it, but it's a really good read. It's beautifully written. I really love Amanda Foody's writing. This, I believe, was her debut novel, and you'd never know. It was very, very good, and I had a lot of fun reading it. But that is it for my favorites of 2020. If you enjoyed this video, let me know by leaving a like down below, and let me know down in the comments what were your favorite books of 2020. I'd love to know if there were some that I missed. I probably did. But for now, I'm going to get going. If you want to keep up with me and all of my bookish adventures, you can go ahead and click the subscribe button, and you should definitely ring the little bell so that you don't miss a beat of Vlogmas, however much left there is of it, or any of my other upcoming videos. I'm going to be starting the new year strong with some fun content, so I will see you guys on the next one. Bye!